she's not going to tell you. She's not going to walk up and say, "I want you right now." That's not how it works. When desire hits her, it doesn't show up in words. It leaks through her body. Tiny tells micro movements, flickers in her breathing, the way her fingers move, the way she looks at you and looks away. The problem? Most men never notice. They're too focused on what to say next, too wrapped up in their own nerves, or too busy trying to impress her. But once you learn these signs, once you know how to decode her lust, you can read her without her saying a thing. And when you respond the right way, she'll feel like you're inside Hermond. These are primal signals. They come from a part of her brain older than words. She can't fake them. She can't stop them. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. So, let's start with one of the most intoxicating tells a woman can give you. One that's both innocent and loaded with heat. One, she'll play with something in her hands. It's subtle, almost innocent. She might not even realize she's doing it, but you will. You're talking to her, maybe leaning back, maybe holding eye contact just long enough to make her feel it in her stomach. And that's when her hands start moving. She picks up a necklace and rolls it between her fingers. She taps the rim of her glass slowly. She twists her hair around her knuckle. Maybe she's holding a pen and instead of writing, she's just turning it over. To the untrained eye, it's nothing. A nervous habit? A fidget? But to a man who knows, it's a tell. Because when a woman starts playing with something in her hands while you're close, it's her body's way of channeling energy. Energy she doesn't know what's to do with. That movement isn't about the object. It's about you. Think about it. She's not checking her phone. She's not crossing her arms and closing off. Her hands are busy, but her attention is still on you. It's her mind saying, "I need to keep control," while her body whispers, "I want to give it up." Watch closely. If she's twisting a straw wrapper, clicking a pen, sliding her fingers along the edge of her dress, that's her subconscious trying to regulate the tension between you. And here's where most men kill the moment. They point it out. They say, "Why are you fidgeting or nervous?" and instantly snap her out of that trance. A man who understands. The game doesn't break it. He feeds it. He lets the silence breathe. He keeps his voice low. Maybe he moves a little closer, watching her hands, but saying nothing about them. The longer you let her stay in that space, that physical loop of touch and focus, the more the energy builds. Here's the erotic psychology behind it. When a woman is physically aroused but socially restrained, like in a public setting or a first-time conversation, her body will find safe, socially acceptable outlets for that tension. Playing with something in her hands is one of them. It's why you'll see her twirl her hair, tap her nails on the edible, trace the rim of her drink. Those small, repetitive motions help her release just enough energy to keep her from bursting, but also keep her locked in that heightened state while she's around. You. The key for you. Don't rush. Don't break eye contact. Let her marinate in it until her own mind starts, wondering why she feels this way and why it's only with you. When you finally close that distance, when you finally decide to touch her, she's already been warmed up by her own body for minutes, maybe longer. And in her mind, it's not because you made a move too fast. It's because she couldn't hold it anymore. That's the power of noticing what other men miss. Sign 2, her eyes will lock on you, then drop. You're talking to her. Maybe standing in a crowded bar, maybe sitting across from her at a cafe. There's noise, there's movement, but she's tuned into you. Her eyes find yours. And here's where it happens. She holds the gaze. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. And just when it feels like the air between you is getting heavier, she drops her eyes. To the casual observer, it's nothing. Just a glance down. But to a man who knows the language of attraction, it's a flare shot into the night sky. Why? Because this moment is primal. It's as old as human courtship. In the animal kingdom, prolonged eye contact is dominance. Looking away first is submission. In a sexual context, that submission is laced with interest. When a woman locks eyes with you and then drops her gaze, she's giving you two messages at once. I feel your presence, and I'm okay with you leading. But there's the thing. It's not shyness. This isn't about being timid. It's about tension. That downward glance is her way of breaking the heat just enough so she doesn't completely melt in front of you. Sometimes it's paired with other cues. She might smile slightly when she looks down like she's hiding a thought. She might bite her lip without realizing it, or she might glance down and then slowly back up almost like she's checking to see if you're still there. This is where most men make their first mistake. They look away too soon. They feel that surge of intensity when the eyes lock, and instead of leaning into it, they cut it short because it feels too intimate. Or worse, they make a joke to break the tension. Why are you staring at me like that? The moment you do that, you've drained the electricity from the room. The man who wins, he stays right there in it. When her eyes meet his, he doesn't blink too fast, doesn't twitch, doesn't start talking faster. He just holds, calm, steady, letting the silence breathe like it's his home, and hears the subtle power move. You decide when to break the contact. Not instantly, not aggressively, but just a beat after. She looks away. You let her feel that you were the one who released the moment, not her. There's an intoxicating psychology behind this. When you hold her gaze just that fraction longer, you're signaling that you're comfortable with intensity. Most men flinch under it. You didn't. That plants a seed in her mind. If he can hold me like that with just his eyes, what else can he do? I remember once sitting in a quiet speakeasy with a woman I just met. We were telling stories, laughing lightly, and then mid-laugh, she stopped. Her eyes locked into mine. No noise, no distractions, just that steady pull. I didn't move. I didn't smile. I didn't rush to speak. And after about 4 seconds, she looked down at her drink, touched the rim of the glass, and smiled to herself. That smile wasn't about the story we'd just told. It was about the moment that had just passed. A moment where she'd felt something she couldn't quite put into words. Sign 3. She'll play with something in her hands. It's one of the easiest signs to miss because it looks like nothing. Innocent, harmless, forgettable. But if you know what you're seeing, it's anything but innocent. You're talking to her. Maybe the lighting is soft. A bar, a lounge, a quiet corner of a cafe. The energy between you has that slow hum like the air before a storm. And then you notice her. Hands. She's rolling her necklace chain between her fingers. She's tracing the rim of her wine glass. She's twisting a straw wrapper. She's absent-mindedly stroking her own wrist. To someone else, it's just fidgeting. To you, it's a tell. See, when attraction starts to build, the body generates energy. Sometimes it's subtle, just a rise in heart rate. Sometimes it's more obvious. Flushed skin, faster breathing. But there's another outlet for that energy. And it shows up in the hands. Think of it as displacement. She's feeling something in her body that's too much to hold still. So her fingers find something safe to touch, to play with, to move. It's a way of releasing the tension without really releasing it. And here's where the psychology gets interesting. She's not doing this with just anyone. If she's bored, her hands are still. If she's distracted, they're on her phone. But if she's into you, they'll be moving slowly, repetitively, like her body is keeping itself busy, while her mind and eyes stay on you. One of the most common examples, twirling hair. It's cliché for a reason. When a woman wraps a strand of hair around her finger and lets it slide, she's engaging in a sensual act disguised as a harmless habit. The motion mimics touch. It's comforting, self-soothing, and subtly erotic all at once. I've seen this play out countless times. I remember a night in a low-at jazz bar. I was speaking to a woman across a small table, and the conversation had slowed into those pauses that are more about energy than words. She was holding a cocktail glass, and without even realizing it, she began running her finger slowly around therein. Around and around, never looking at the glass. Her eyes stayed locked on mine. She wasn't thinking about the glass. Her body was just busy canneling. That's when I knew the tension had moved out of the realm of polite conversation and into something physical. Now here's the critical part. Most men ruin this moment. They'll make a comment. "Why are you fidgeting?" Or they'll call it out playfully. "You're nervous, aren't you?" The moment you name it, you break it. She snaps out of that subtle trance and into self-consciousness. That's the last thing you want. The man who understands. He protects the moment. He notices, lets his eyes flick down for half a second, and then keeps talking like nothing happened. Maybe his voice slows. Maybe he leans back just slightly, letting the tension breathe. Once you know these signs, you stop guessing. You stop wondering if she's into you because her body is telling you before her words ever could. The touch to her neck, the eyes that lock then drop, the restless play of her fingers, the change in her breathing, the way she leans in when she doesn't have to. These are not accidents. They're not quirks. They're nature, speaking in the oldest language on earth. And when you understand it, you're no longer chasing women. You're reading them like an open book. Most men never learn this skill. They miss the cues. They push too soon. They kill the tension before it has a chance to take root. But the men who master this, they create moments she can't stop replaying. Don't just watch for the signs. Act on them the way only a man in control can, because once you can read her lust insolence, you'll never need her words again.